I was watching our last video, and it really brought me back when you said that you went through something that kind of triggered you to your old self. And I really want to explore that a bit more because I've talked to you guys about how I felt that I had worked on myself so much and then something triggered me and I was back to the old Tracy. And we've talked, you guys have helped me get through understanding it's a continuous exercise. It's not a one and done. And also that, I'm not doing anything wrong by feeling that or going back there. So I thought you ladies might have some extra thoughts about that because I think it's something that's really important to understand when we go back and, sometimes it's a good thing because we recognize how far we've come.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, just exactly like what happened with Michelle, to realize that I have all of these capabilities, I have all of these tools, I have all of this training that I can use as a resource. But I think what's really important for us to understand is that when we are triggered, when we do go back, when we find ourselves in that same place that we have been before, where and it's that place that we have been working on to try to get away from or get out of or whatever, nothing has gone wrong. It's not you haven't failed. It's not like, oh my God, this is all this work I've done is for nothing. I think we have to recognize that where you were is always going to be a part of you, but it's what you decide to do when you are triggered, exactly like what Michelle did. It's like, do I want to go down the rabbit hole? Do I let myself do that? Or am I going to lean on my other resources that I have to take me to where it is that I really want to go? But to expect that we will never ever re-experience what we have been working so hard to overcome, whether it's low self-esteem, self-worth, all of that is, I think, unrealistic for anybody to think that that will just be fixed forever and they'll never experience it again.
I just want to point
Absolutely.
out that when you said, I've never heard it said that way, when you said it's always going to be, excuse me, part of you. And I think that's something that really should be highlighted because I wouldn't think that. I would go, I fixed myself, I'm done. And no, it is a part of you. And you have to respect that it
Mhm.
may come up again.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it does, there's nothing that's gone wrong.
Right, there isn't. And I think I want to talk a moment about one word we keep using, and I want to make sure people understand it. And that's the word trigger. Like, I think sometimes people don't understand that word. So, we've talked in past episodes what triggers you to feel that way. And all I want to do is a simple explanation for myself is, why am I feeling like this? That's all I ask myself. Why do I have this feeling at this moment? And it is, oh, I was having this negative self-talk. I was being self-judgmental. I was belittling myself. Why? And so I keep asking that why. And that brought me down to this trigger of what set me off to go back in time. So I want people to understand that word trigger is, sometimes it's not, for me at times, a trigger has been a scent. Like, somebody will walk by with an aftershave and I'll be like, oh, that just reminded me of somebody. And it might not be a good person. Like, oh, there are things that make you have a feeling, and that's something you should explore as a trigger. Because when I understood what the trigger was, I was able to bring myself out of that mode very quickly, because I'm like, wait a minute, Michelle, this was the car broke down. That's what happened. The car broke down. You're not a psychic to say, oh, the car's, I couldn't wheel the car broke down. I didn't know ahead of time the car wasn't going to break down. There wasn't any alerts on the car. There wasn't anything. So I think it's important to understand what triggered me. And once you understand that, you're able to pull yourself out a little bit more. I don't know. What do you ladies think?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting. I think sometimes it's important to understand what triggered you. I know
Mhm.
people said there are people who are rooted in the I need to understand the why of this before I can let it go or come to peace with it. I'm not that kind, I'm not that way. I just kind of go, if I find myself doing old patterns of behavior, it is just recognize, it is the ability to recognize that.
But you
And
don't
that's
ask
what makes me
yourself,
stop. Huh?
you don't ask yourself maybe once or twice, why do I keep going into that old behavior?
No, I don't really care why I keep going back into that old behavior. I don't know if I may have mentioned this on previous episodes that for the longest time I had this like really old, metaphorically brown sweater, which was my lack of self-worth and self-esteem. It was huge. It was what I did. I wore that sweater so well. Oh God, I just wore it so well. And it's full of holes. It's got mustard stains all over it. It's just this despicable sweater. And it sits, I have not gotten rid of that sweater, but it's folded up and it sits in the bottom drawer all by itself. Every once in a while, I open up that drawer and I look at it and go, "Oh, there you are. How you doing?" And then
Oh,
I
yeah, but
close it off. I don't really, it is, I honestly believe that part of me
mhm,
is always going to be there. I nursed that part of me so well, like for 68 years. That sweater was my best friend. Well, actually, it's not 68 because I'm 68 now and I put that sweater away for
I
years.
was like,
But
yeah,
yeah, but it's like having a habit
right,
that you have the neurological pathways that the moment something isn't sitting right, whatever that is, I would be like, okay, the brown sweater, get it on, because like we're just gonna like beat ourselves up about this. And for me, it's like that's what I did. And I know that I can do it again. And I do it. I do. I open up that drawer. I'll have conversations with that sweater. But then I also am, just like you, Michelle, with your situation, it's like, okay, do I really want to wear that?
right,
And it's
exactly.
like, no, I don't. I really don't. You know what? I don't. No matter how low I feel, it's like I don't really want to put that back on again.
Right. And so I agree with you. Totally, totally agree with you. And it is like there wasn't anything wrong with me. It was a feeling I had. And when I asked myself, why am I having this feeling? And it went down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, stop. We're not going there.
Hmm.
Stop it. No. And it was just like you said, I didn't do anything wrong. And even
Yeah.
if I made a mistake, okay, I
Yeah.
made a mistake. Like
Yeah.
we are not, we've all three have had, we believe firmly in this. We're not perfect. We are ourselves. And we all
Thank
make
God.
mistakes, every single one of us. And I had the trip from hell, and that was it. And who knows, the next one I have can also be. And it's so funny because there were little remnants of it because shortly after Milton passed through the hurricane and this and that, I had to do a work trip and there was some delays with it in my mind for a second. I mean, a second, like I caught it so quickly. It went to oh, here we go again. You're going to get, no, so what? I get stuck. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Everyone's trying to get out of Florida after Milton. So what? My flight is delayed. So what? I'm going to be in traffic. I'm still getting to Jason and Amber's house. It's an hour later. Okay, let's go. Like, let's
See,
just go.
that's the difference, right?
Yeah,
That is it right there in a nutshell, is the ability to say, yeah, no, I'm not, you know what, I don't need to do this anymore.
nope, nope. There isn't. Like, I didn't. So, I mean, Tracy G, you have, I think, really, I've noticed in this year in some of our episodes, you've really come to like, I've never heard you be as vulnerable about things you're like, oh, wait a minute. Why did I go down that path? Like, why did that happen? Where did that come out of?
Mhm.
Nowhere. Like, and you're like, oh, but that's not me. Like, I've worked on it. That's okay. I could have that moment for a moment. And, but this
Mhm.
is where I am now. I
Mhm.
think that's huge for you.
Except like we talked, I thought it was that was it.
Yeah.
I did
Mm.
my work. I'm done. Moving on. And I realized through the wisdom of you ladies, oh, you got still happening. But
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
I
didn't.
good that you can just catch it and
Mhm.
realize that you're not doing anything wrong and it is a part of you.
Mhm.
And takes it takes time. It takes work. And that's what I think we've always said. Everything takes practice.
Mhm.
Everything. Every single thing we do is a repetition. Think about everything you do. We even probably have our own little rituals before we get on to do our recording. I know I do. I go get a fresh thing of water. I make sure, I try to make sure Mona's taken care of. We have these rituals that we do. It's a repetitive thing. And we have to do that with our mindset and with all of that. It's this repetitiveness.
Mhm.
And it just doesn't, I'm sorry, it's not a quick fix.
We're literally rewiring our brain. So yeah, it is not to be uncommon that you are going to revisit your old behaviors, or things are, all of a sudden that feeling will come back and you're like, wow, I haven't had this one for a while. But
Yep.
that's the good thing. I haven't had this for a while.
And of course,
It's like the sweater. You just, I didn't need to wear it today. So today was a good day. It stayed in the drawer.
Mhm,
and
mhm.
of course, it's going to come unexpectedly. It's going to come in
Oh,
those situations where
always.
you're going, the last thing I need is for you to show up again. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're here.
But
So,
I also just want to recognize something that I think I said in the last episode, was that when we are depleted,
mm,
physically depleted, whether it's sleep deprivation, we're not, eating properly, we're not, moving our bodies, we're not taking care of those basic necessities, then it is much easier to slip down that path. It's much
Yeah.
easier because your brain wants to do what it knows it can do very easily.
mhm.
And so it's just going to naturally want to go back and go, I want to do easy, because right now it's hard and I don't want to do hard.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
We always want
Exactly.
to choose it, we're wired to do the easiest thing possible.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you were stuck in a car, it's hot outside, you got your dog's there, it's like all of these things, that were stacking up against you. You're not sleeping, you don't, your anxiety is starting to get ramped up, and you don't know how this is going to play out. And it's really, I mean, at that point it's so easy just to go, my brain goes, what do I do that saves me, and what have I done in the past to save myself? It's
Mhm.
like, well, as stupid as it may seem, you choose the thing that's not going to be helpful at all, right? But we all do that. We all do that. And it's okay. You're not broken. Nothing's gone wrong. It's
You're
okay.
not a bad
It really is.
person. You didn't
Yeah.
make a mistake. And if you did, okay, correct it.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
way of seeing what the mistake is. Like there's so many pluses. Like it's not even
Mhm.
funny. And it should be applauded when you're able to turn that thought around.
Mhm.
And not within a moment, not within 5 minutes, whenever you turn that thought about, you
Exactly.
celebrate that because that is you turning that corner.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, should be celebrated. Yeah. So viewers, what do you think? How do you find that you have any difficulties reverting back to old habits, old thoughts? And how do you get yourself out of it? Do you have any barriers, anything that is like, do you need help with something? Put it down in the comments. Ask us that question. Allow us to help you work through that. We think we're talking about things that are helping you, but sometimes our conversations will bring a question to your mind. Put it in the comments. We will have another episode about it, or we'll send you a feedback directly to you. Don't forget, if you like this episode, hit that like button. Share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it, and hit notifications so you know when our next episode comes out. Until then.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.